I drink alcohol pretty much every single weekend and I stay lean all year round. No, I'm not telling you that alcohol is healthy. I'm telling you that if you're a guy over 30 who enjoys having a few drinks every single weekend, you don't have to choose between having a social life and having abs. So today, I'm going to show you exactly how I do it and how you can do it for yourself. Let's jump right into it. Step number one, pick 1 to 2 days a week to drink maximum. So for me, I typically drink on Fridays and Saturdays. Now, when football season comes along, which is pretty soon, I'll usually switch it to Sundays and I'll rarely drink on the Fridays. Now, there's two main reasons why you want to make sure you are not drinking over 2 days per week from a fat loss and a muscle building or even preservation standpoint. Number one, of course, if you're drinking multiple days per week, the more days you're drinking usually means the more calories you're consuming, which makes it a little bit harder in order to lose fat. And the second thing, it's just hard to build and even maintain muscle mass when you're basically having multiple days throughout the week drinking, because essentially alcohol is poison and the body prioritizes getting rid of that alcohol. So if you're constantly drinking multiple days per week, it's just hard to even maintain and build muscle that way because the body's prioritizing, let's get rid of the alcohol, and it's not really prioritizing the protein in something called muscle protein synthesis. Step number two, decide your drink limit before you actually drink. So what's the most common mistake a lot of guys make when it comes to drinking alcohol? We really don't have a filter, right? We have a beer, next we have another beer. It's kind of like Will Ferrell in Old School. You know, it tastes so good when it hits the lips. And next thing you know, we're 6 beers in and the calories are just out of control. So what I want you to do is, before you actually go to your outing or social event, whatever it may be, decide on how many drinks that you're going to have. Now, this is not an excuse to say, hey, I'm going to have 15 drinks. Like, obviously, that's not going to work. But what I typically recommend is have between 1 to 4 drinks in your outing and stick to it. Now, for me, I'm definitely on the upper limit of that, which is 4 drinks, but I do keep my calories a little bit lower when I drink, which ties me to my next point, which is also a crucial step in this journey right here. But just make sure, guys, you have a number that you're sticking to, because if you don't and you go in without a game plan, this is where we tend to have 5, 6, 7 drinks, the calories jack up, and next thing you know, we're going down a slippery slope. Step number 3, choose lower calorie drinks. Now, there is a massive difference in terms of calories when it comes to what drinks you're actually choosing. For example, if you're having like a rum and Coke versus like a rum and Diet Coke, or even like, just straight liquor, we're talking like about 100 calories difference in just one drink. So what I'll typically do in terms of my liquor and drinks, I'll either have like whiskey straight, which is typically about 80, 90 calories maybe per ounce, or I'll just kind of stick to light beers. And there's 4 drinks that I typically recommend for you if you do want to keep your calories low. So number one, like I said, you can have just like straight neat liquor. When I say straight neat liquor, kind of think like your rum, your vodka, tequila if you're choosing violence, whiskey, or you can mix it with even diet drinks. So like a whiskey diet ginger ale, a rum diet Coke. I'm sure you guys get the drift. The second change you want to make is shift to light beer. So my light beer of choice is Miller Lite, and I typically avoid having like a lot of higher calorie beers. And there'll be times where I do have obviously like Molson Canadians that it's not a light beer. But the more you can stick to light beers, the more you're going to save on calories, which makes sense. An average light beer has about 100 calories. And if you're having like a heavy crap beer or even like a normal beer, you're talking 150, 170, sometimes even 200 calories a pop. So it does make a big difference. The third drink I recommend, even like low-calorie seltzers work well. So I haven't had a White Claw in ages, but if I do go down that route in terms of seltzers, I'll have White Claws. They're pretty low calories. At the top of my head, I should have researched it before this video. I think it's about 100 calories, but don't quote me on that. Give me a little bit less. And the fourth thing I recommend, and this is what I don't drink because I'm not a wine guy, but if you are a wine guy, have like lower calorie wine options. And typically speaking, the more dry and not sweet the wines are, the lower calories it's going to be. And again, I'm not a wine connoisseur, so I can't really recommend specific brands for you, but just make sure it's all a little more of like a dry opposed to a sweet wine, because you're going to save a lot more calories when it comes to that. Step number 4, and this is going to tie things full circle for you, is you want to budget your calories and your protein. So if you follow steps 1 through 3 correctly, you're basically going to know roughly how many calories you're going to be having from alcohol, every single week, which is a game changer, what most guys just simply don't do. So when you have this, you just plug and play this now into your quote unquote calorie budget. I'll give you an example 1 second. And you got to make sure the protein, of course, is high to preserve muscle mass. So let's say you need about 2,000 calories a day to lose fat. But let's say on Saturday, you have about 4 light beers, which would cost about 100 calories per light beer. So now you're down to about 1,600 calories. And obviously, guys, I'm sure you know this. Alcohol doesn't really have nutritional value. So if you're taking in alcohol, you're really not going to get a lot of protein or any protein from the alcohol. So from this 1,600 calories remaining, what you have to do is make sure you are prioritizing protein within that number. And a very good general rule of thumb that you want to aim for is take your body weight in pounds and times it by at least 0.7, ideally times 0.8, but at least 0.7. So you have lower calorie number, get your protein up. So you got to make sure you are doing this step though, if you are including alcohol into your diet. Now, I've made some other videos in terms of how to set up a higher calorie day. So it gives you a little more wiggle room when you do drink. I'll link at the very end of this video and you definitely want to check it out. But make sure, guys, if you follow steps 1 through 3 and you do it correctly, it's all about now just budgeting this into your calorie and your protein intake. Because if you do these 4 steps correctly, it's a surefire way you're still gonna lose fat and preserve all your muscle. All right, the 5th thing. So why does alcohol make most guys fat, and what are some of the most common mistakes I typically see when it comes to guys drinking alcohol? The very first thing I said, we really don't have a game plan in terms of quantity. We see beer, we drink beer. And it also comes down to other factors. I don't want to say outside alcohol, but that kind of includes alcohol. When you're drinking, what do we typically do? We usually combine it with like a higher calorie meal, right? Like if you're having a couple of beers at a bar, you're probably gonna order some nachos, some wings, some burgers. So if you are having a few beers, guys, you got to make sure that you are limiting the higher calorie foods that come along with it. Now, another big thing as well that I never would discuss, a lot of guys make this mistake, and it's when we drink one night, we typically wake up the next day, maybe we don't feel the best, we kind of feel like crap because we had maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 beers. And what do? We continue the bender, right? Like we wake up, right? You know what? Screw it. I'm hungover. I'm kind of, craving some certain foods. I'm going to continue to drink a little bit. And it just kind of leads down a slippery slope. This is why it's so important to kind of follow these 4 steps I talked about. If you know how many days a week you're drinking, if you know how many drinks you're having, if you choose lower calorie drinks and you budget it in with your calories and protein, you're guaranteed to lose fat. Where most guys make mistakes is we usually miss at least one of these steps, usually all 4 of these steps, and it's almost like guesswork when it comes to how many calories we're taking in. And next thing you know, our stomach's getting bigger. We're not preserving our muscle mass because we're feeling like crap, which kind of leads to like a slippery slope, like I said, maybe missing workouts on top of it, and it just kind of snowballs on top of that. So if you guys want to see basically how to potentially set up a higher calorie for you, because you might be thinking like, hey, 1,600 calories is too low to hit all my protein. I get it. I set up a higher calorie day myself. I'll link the video right here. Check this out. It's an absolute game changer for you. And if you do this and you just rinse and repeat the cycle, it's 100%, guys, guaranteed you're going to lose fat and keep the fat off and stay lean all year round. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll talk soon.